Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Lisa Brown-Aiken. My pronouns are she and her. I have the joy of serving on your Board of Trustees, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite you to fill out one of the visitor forms that are in the pews. Everyone present in the sanctuary today is welcome to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold interdependence as one of our core values. With reverence and humility, we honor the interdependent web of all existence and our place in it. You can still join in on the site visit to AT&T to protest their partnership with and profiting from ICE taking place this afternoon. Visit the Resist table during community hour for details. We have an awesome musical lineup and a speaker from Arise, Chicago, planned for the Community of Congregations Multi-Faith Thanksgiving service. Join our neighbors and friends from other faith communities here at Unity Temple next Sunday evening, November 23rd at 7 p.m. We're so glad that you're with us today. I invite those of you here in person to take a moment and greet one another.
So, greetings. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm glad you're safe.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Roger, and my pronouns are he, him. Our chalice lighter today is named Katie. Katie loves fall camping, as do I, parenthetically. Let's join in the chalice lighting words. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open mind, the loving heart, the helping hand. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
Good morning. My name is Cecile, and I am your worship associate this morning. When I was 7 years old, my mom, my siblings, and I stayed with a family in Manila before heading to the US to reunite with my dad. I remember hanging out with my cool teenage girl cousins. Excited and a little scared, I was delighted to be included. My cousin, Sinky, picked up a guitar and started singing, Killing Me Softly with His Song by Roberta Flack. The tune describes a heartbroken woman who goes to hear a young musician play, only to hear her own pain and despair in his beautiful lyrics. Of course, I didn't know what it meant at the time, only that I loved it. Once we stepped on the plane, my universe changed. The firstborn and eldest daughter in an immigrant family, I was the caretaker, buried my feelings, made myself small. Like the woman in the song, I hid my pain and fear and hoped no one would see. Fast forward 52 years, Sinky was our hostess on our Philippines vacation. I told her I had always thought about her when I hear that song, and she was touched. On our last day, we were driving to the beach on a busy road. I sat in front with the driver. Suddenly, a motorcycle crashed in front of us. I watched in horror as the passenger flew off the bike. No helmet. A crowd formed, but no one approached the injured woman. My brother and I hurried to help her, gave her water, held my scarf to her bleeding head and face. We asked someone to drive her to the emergency room. Thankfully, her injuries were not life-threatening. Somehow, we made it to the beach, and another cousin took me aside and asked me if I was okay. Still shaken, I didn't realize until that moment that I had also suffered trauma. I nearly wept with gratitude at his kindness. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your life's journey or in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. Please stand and join us in singing verses 1, 2, and 5 of number 322 in the Great Hymnal, Thanks Be for These.
Thanks be for these life's holy times, moments of grief, days of delight, triumph and failure intertwine, shaping our vision of the right.
words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Crowder, and I serve on your spiritual care team. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. Sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives with each other is one of the ways that we embody love. Those attending in person can share your joys and sorrows. You can write it in the binder right outside the doors to the sanctuary. You can also email us at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. If you'd like to talk with someone about what's on your heart, please feel welcome to contact the spiritual care team. We are here to listen and sit with you in times of both joy and sorrow. Here are the joys and sorrows that were shared this week. Mark Maynard shares that he's glad that both sets of grandparents made it in for Caitlin's 7th birthday. Jerry Messler shares that his Aunt Ruth died on Wednesday. She was 98 years old. Please keep Bert Anderson in our thoughts and prayers as he deals with deteriorating health. And then longtime Unity Temple member Cynthia Winan died a few days ago. After a hospital stay, she died peacefully at home surrounded by family and friends. Cynthia was a member of Unity Temple for more than 45 years. A celebration of life will take place here, likely in mid-January, and we'll share specifics when we have them. Please hold Cynthia's family in your heart. We know that we hold some joys and sorrows in silence. We invite anyone who has a joy or a sorrow to come forward and drop a stone into one of the bowls of water at the 4 stations around the sanctuary. This ritual represents a mingling of our collective joys and sorrows. We invite you to engage in the spiritual practice of silence during this ritual. Let us begin.
words of meditation and prayer come from Julia Hamilton. Spirit of hope, settle into our bones on this morning. Remind us once again that the dawn light is never a gamble. If there was ever a sure bet, it is the sunrise. Even stones crumble, even grief changes and shifts, and death is a mystery that is certain but not solid. But hope is like the sunrise, eternal and bone bred within us. We are creatures built by sunshine and cannot carve this hope out of our bones if we tried. And yet people have tried to entomb the light, tried to seal off the morning. Emperors and kings, priests and patriarchs have brought down suffering. In these fearful moments, we can be forgiven if we stumble and doubt and deny. But still, the sun rises and calls her children into bloom. Always, she says, always, I will return. So don't despair. All is not lost. The small ways of petty tyrants never win. So place your money on the sunrise. Who are we to bet against glory? We have a story now. I don't know if there's any kids at this service. They mostly come to the second. But anyone, any age, is welcome to come up if you want to get a closer look. This book is called Oliver Jeffers' The Heart and the Bottle. All right, thank you. This is amazing. All right. Wow. Thank you so much. So, once there was a girl, much like any other, whose head was filled with all the curiosities of the world, with thoughts of the stars, with wonder at the sea. She took delight in finding new things. Until the day she found an empty chair. Feeling unsure, the girl thought that the best thing was to put her heart in a safe place, just for the time being. So she put it in a bottle and hung it around her neck, and that seemed to fix things. Although in truth, nothing was the same. She forgot about the stars, stopped taking notice of the sea. She was no longer filled with all the curiosities of the world and didn't take much notice of anything, other than how heavy and awkward the bottle had become, but at least her heart was safe. It might never have occurred to the girl what to do had she not met someone smaller and still curious about the world. I like this. It's an elephant swimming in the water. There was a time when the girl would have known how to answer her, but not now, not without her heart. And it was right at that moment she decided to get it back out of the bottle, but she didn't know how. She couldn't remember. And nothing seemed to work. The bottle couldn't be broken. It just bounced and rolled right down to the sea. But there, it occurred to someone smaller and still curious about the world that she might know a way, and it just so happened she did. The heart was put back where it came from. And the chair wasn't so empty anymore. But the bottle was the end. Thank you. We're going to hear the music anyway.
Good morning. I'm Madonna Thielen. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm introducing our offering today. Each week, Unity Temple splits its offering evenly, one half supporting the programs and mission of this congregation, and today the other half will support the Illinois Coalition for Refugee and Immigrant Rights. ICIRR is dedicated to promoting the rights of immigrants and refugees to full and equal participation in the civic, cultural, social, and political life of our diverse society. ICIRR has been essential in responding to the ICE crisis in our area these last few months. They have a hotline for possible ICE sightings and ICE detention assistance. The number for that is 855-435-7693. They're also helping to educate and support and train rapid responders and equipping our communities with Know Your Rights knowledge. The West Side Rapid Response Team that many of us are a part of has been responding daily to document the kidnappings, abductions, and unimaginable fear tactics that ICE has inflicted on our communities. ICE's brutality is a warning of things to come. I hope that you will support this organization fighting for the human beings who have immigrated to our country for freedom and safety. You can find out more about them at icirr.org. Thank you for your contributions.
Our reading today is a poem called Small Talk, or In My Hand, Galaxies, by Benjamin Naka Hasibi Kingsley. It looks like the thief rocketed through their whole self through the bullseye of my driver's side door. And you're not wrong to expect the old joke about there being nothing in my car worth the thieving. Or maybe I've caught you eye-rolling, please God, not another poem about windows, but I cross my fingers, hope to die, suck on diesel, and be hog-tied. I'll avoid simile for the eye and soul. And I'll be careful as the fixer's hands who came to pry waterlogged lining from my inner door, her small boots crunching sun in the glittered puddle of fractured glass. I think how I didn't think to sweep, but even so, she is still kind. I think to get her a glass of tap water now, but then I think of all the stairs. She says, this big soul reminds her of Cuba y tú, she asks, but I don't relish speaking Spanish anymore. I tell her, no, I have always lived in Miami, I lie, but offer my father was a Mason and bueno too at that. I've given her this one fractaled truth as if it could be understood, not to mistake my soft handshake for ignorance of all the working classes. But she is not thinking of me, only the door's motor grinding. She asks, but what do I do? I hope she will ask if maybe I'm a Mason myself, but no. I say, maybe I'm a writer. Me too, she beams and offers a full palm of what she'd vacuumed from the door frame, shattered glass bead of blue refraction. Wonder, she says, wonder at all they have seen. She insists there towards the tiny islets, and mi mano Galaxies, she says. And I wonder how often I have mistaken myself for the seer, the seer, and others simply as the seen. Some years I am more mindful than others when the anniversary of Kristallnacht comes up. Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, took place on November 9th and 10th, 1938 in Nazi Germany. Nazi paramilitary groups such as the SS, along with some Hitler Youth and other citizens or civilians, destroyed over 1,400 synagogues and places of worship and many thousand more Jewish-owned businesses. It's estimated that around 30,000 Jewish men were apprehended, arrested during those 2 nights, and sent to concentration camps. Kristallnacht refers to the broken glass that littered the sidewalk and streets outside these thousands of Jewish houses of worship and businesses. Kristallnacht is often referred to as the opening salvo of Hitler's final solution, the solution that murdered over 6 million people. Jews were the primary but not the only targets. LGBTQ, people with disabilities, Jehovah's Witnesses, Roma, political and spiritual leaders who spoke out against the Nazis were also targeted, including, as we know in our own Unitarian tradition, the Czech minister Norbert Čapek, also the Lutheran theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer, among those religious witnesses who were murdered. And oh yes, the Nazis also targeted immigrants. Immigrants were forced to wear inverted blue triangles to identify themselves. These organized and systematic attacks on millions of people were the culmination of Hitler's horrific vision. The through line in his rise and in his reign was hatred, bigotry, and brutality. And so for me, the broken glass of Kristallnacht is an enduring symbol of whenever and wherever hatred, bigotry, and brutality have reigned free. And so it is not surprising that this year, here, Kristallnacht is more on my mind. The abductions of neighbors by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Customs and Border Patrol, other Homeland Security agencies, has brought a season of broken glass to Chicagoland. Abduction of neighbors without due process, those abductions have shattered many households throughout our area. There is a trail of broken glass and tears really in every nook and cranny of Chicagoland. Government filings this week in response to a federal judge's directive show that the overwhelming majority of those abducted don't have arrest records, let alone charges of murder or rape, as the administration has falsely claimed. And so many people in our region, including many here at Unity Temple, have found ways to show up and resist. I believe ICE and other agencies assumed that people not at risk would just be standing on the sidelines like most Germans did during the Nazi terror. And I am grateful that the people of this area have proven that cynical calculation wrong. As I've shared in recent weeks, one of the places I've felt called to show up is the Friday morning interfaith gatherings outside the Broadview ICE Detention Center. One of my main motivations for being there each Friday is the hope that our neighbors detained inside might hear these voices of singing, of chanting, of prayer, and maybe for a moment not feel quite as alone. Stories from people who have been in there confirm not only the inhumane conditions like lack of basic sanitation, regular food and water, light, the windows have been covered, the availability of spiritual care. That's been confirmed, but so too has the fact that people in there can hear the voices of those outside chanting and singing and praying. And so if raising my voice there can make one person feel less alone, it's worth it to me. Not all of you here are able to go to Broadview, and I feel like the most common refrain you've heard from me over and over again in the season of broken glass is that we each are called to find our own place in resisting evil. So find your place, dig in, and know it's enough because a lot of other people are finding their place and digging in. The oppressors want us to feel guilty for not doing enough, and guilt ultimately sidelines us into indifference. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. You all have my permission. I have my own permission. I don't know if it matters to you to have my permission, but find your place, and it's okay, and don't feel guilty about all the things you're not doing. And so part of why I go to Broadview on Friday mornings is actually to represent you and to share what I experienced there. Sorry, folks, I write my sermons on Fridays, and so Friday morning, and then write the sermon, you're going to hear about it. Last week, as many of us know, 15 suburban moms, including many from Oak Park, climbed over the concrete barricade, sat down on the street in a circle holding hands, and were arrested. This week, some faith leaders moved into the street toward the detention center, demanding the release of the detainees and at least the ability to offer them spiritual care. I discerned that my place was a supporting role for a UU clergy person who was in the front line, who was willing and able to be up there. I was her buddy. And as I watched and sang behind them, I pictured the protesters crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. Those protesters were crossing a line, like the protesters Friday, a line set by the police that said, you cannot cross this line. And while the brutality that the protesters experienced at the hands of the police on Friday was not what the protesters on the Edmund Pettus Bridge experienced in terms of its degree, it was the same kind. And so that included police immediately rushing in to push, to shove, to pull, sometimes by the hair, and to tackle unarmed protesters. Some police used batons, including striking people and pinning people in the chest and in the neck. 21 protesters at least, including 3 UU religious leaders, suffered head, rib, back injuries, lacerations when they were slammed down in their faces into the pavement. One protester suffered a fractured wrist after being hit by a baton 3 times. And so here's my short summary of what happened on Friday at Broadview. Local Cook County and Illinois State Police protected the actual out-of-town agitators, ICE, who didn't need to lift a finger to stop what was happening so that they could, and I saw a bus go in, they could transport, like they like to do on Friday mornings, detainees, people abducted, to points unknown. Local Cook County and state police protected these out-of-town agitators by attacking their neighbors, including religious leaders. So we know during Nazi Germany's evil reign that not enough people loudly or quietly stood up. The risks for us obviously are not as dire as they were for the Germans in those days, but still there are risks as those attacked on Friday experienced, as the Broadview Six who were arrested several weeks ago, including Oak Park trustee Brian Straw, indicted for felony conspiracy that could bring them 6 years in jail and a $250,000 fine. We don't know if Operation Midway is going to shift to a more stealth version or will continue apace with ICE and the Customs and Border Patrol. We don't know if it will be renewed in a month or 6 months with 5 times as many people and more organization and more money. What we know is that if it's not here, Operation Midway, called something else, will be picked up somewhere else. Probably it looks like in Charlotte, North Carolina. ICE and CBP don't have a larger budget than all the state and local police forces in the country to wage. They have the money to wage their assaults somewhere or lots of somewheres. And so, friends, we need to keep showing up. We here have an opportunity to show up this afternoon. Unity Temple, Third Unitarian, other UU congregations in Illinois are anchoring 14 of 18 protests statewide at AT&T stores. We will peacefully pressure AT&T to end contracts with ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, the Department of Homeland Security, and to not enter into new contracts. AT&T is facilitating ICE's work through technology and communications. They are making money off sowing terror and suffering in our neighborhoods. We can stand up and help AT&T include this is not the ethical or wise or financially correct decision to make. So everyone's welcome to join us. You're welcome to come over for lunch following the second service, starting at 12:15 at our Unity Temple Community Center, 1019 South Boulevard. There will be food if you didn't bring a lunch. We'll then shift to the park at the corner of Lake and Harlem for a program, and then gather outside the AT&T store roughly from 3 to 4. Ann White there will be at a table back in Unity House if you'd like to get more information. Really, all are welcome. So in this season of broken glass, I've been accompanied by this poem that I shared a few minutes ago. It's a poem from Padre Gautuma's collection about poems about community that I've been using to center my daily spiritual practice. I've generally been sitting with a poem for a week or two and then moving to the next. This poem, it's 6 weeks in running that I have not been able to turn the page. The poem has broken glass in it, and it has wonder, small talk, and broken glass in our hand. In mi mano Galaxies, in my hand, galaxies. So, friends, this is the horror, the beauty, and the wonder of our complicated human life on this small planet in our little corner of this galaxy. And while we need to be intentional and mindful about where and when we engage in learning about the broken glass that is going on in these difficult days, we do need to pay attention to what is happening to some of us, to some of our neighbors, to our community. And yes, the broken glass sometimes feels like it's coming at us from a fire hose, but still with care, intention, attention, we need to be aware of what is happening. If those of us who have privilege, who aren't being targeted, wall ourselves off from what is happening, we will be like the girl in the story who walled off her heart. We will wall off not just the broken glass because we have the privilege to do that, but also the beauty and the wonder that is around and within us and among us and between us. We will wall off that beauty that the broken glass reflects, not of the forces of hatred and bigotry, but of the people who are bravely trying to survive the daily threat they face and neighbors who are rising up to be by their side. This poem, like Cecile's story at the beginning of the service, remind us that we are both seer and seen. Those who are wearing whistles and participating in walking school buses and grocery shopping missions and coordinating rapid response to ICE activity and showing up at Broadview and AT&T stores this afternoon, the No King rallies, these people, these folks are showing up for households and people, neighbors whose lives have been shattered. Some 4,000 households, at least, in our area over the past weeks. We are seeing our neighbors. We are helping them be seen by others who will care and support. And these people being persecuted are seeing their neighbors help. They are maybe hearing their neighbors singing and chanting and praying. The country, indeed the world, is seeing people show up for their neighbors in Chicago. People in Charlotte and who knows where else will be inspired and informed by the actions of ordinary people here. They are seeing ways to avoid being silent collaborators with tyranny, with bigotry, and with evil. And so may each of us find our own way to show up. May we keep on looking for and noticing, even amidst the broken glass, the beauty and the wonder. May we keep on moving forward. In this Emma's Revolution song, accompanying the bravery on Friday in the face of police brutality at Broadview, gonna keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, keep on moving forward, never turning back, never turning back. Marty will lead us in singing that.
We're gonna keep on walking forward. Keep on walking forward. Keep on walking forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on walking proudly. Keep on walking proudly. Keep on walking proudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Keep on singing loudly. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna reach across the borders. Reach across the borders. Reach across the borders. Never turning back. Never turning back. We're gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly.
We'll go to the closing words. If ever there is a sure bet, it is the sunrise. So don't despair, all is not lost. The small ways of petty tyrants never win. So place your money on the sunrise. Who are we to bet against glory? Let's join in the chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.